Hello again, Worthington Juniors, reviewing for your MCA. This lesson is all about sample size and the margin of error and the effects they have on each other. First, I'm going to start with a little bit of an example. If we talk about a coin, and I talk about flipping a coin and the probability for landing on heads or tails, well, we should say there should be a 50-50 chance. 50% of the time it should land on heads, 50% of the time it should land on tails. Right? Well, let's try a little example here. If I'm to toss this coin 10 times, and I keep track of how many times does it land on heads and how many times does it land on tails, let's see what happens. I'm going to toss the coin 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did I get that 50-50? Was it evenly split, half and half? The probability of it landing on, what did I say, heads? Well, in this experiment, 2 out of 10 times did it actually land on heads. Now, is that 50-50? Let's see what happens if I do it more. Let's say I go 10 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, when I've done it 20 times now, I've realized that at landing on heads, this was 9 out of 20. So did I get closer to 0.5? Yeah, I did. So the more times I was tossing the coin, the closer I was actually getting to that 50-50. Well, why is that? There's actually something called the law of large numbers. It says the more times you repeat an experiment, the closer that experimental probability gets to the real probability. So all of this ties into sample size and margin of error. So my sample size when I had just 10 tosses was not as accurate as when I had a sample size of 20 and I tossed the coin. I was closer to that 50%. My error was smaller. So there are some formulas that lead to the margin of error that you're not going to be expected to memorize, but you should memorize how they affect each other. And what I want you to remember is that your margin of error will increase, meaning you will be farther off and you will have a greater chance of being wrong if you have a small sample size, if your sample size decreases. And vice versa. You can make the margin of error get smaller, like I did with the coin, if you increase your sample size. So honestly, the relationship between the margin of error and the sample size on a very basic level is pretty easy to remember. Your error is going to go up if your sample size goes down. And vice versa, the chance of you making an error will go down if you increase the sample size and get better data, bigger data. Okay, so keep that in mind. The relationship between sample size and margin of error is inverse. They're opposites. Okay, good luck.